Welcome, everyone. I'm Alexandros Savvas from eTravel Group. And who we are an online travel agency specializing in flights. We have our brands, MyTrip, GoTogate, Flight Network, but we also have our partners, Booking.com, Google Flights, and TUI. We have been here since early 2000 as an online travel agency. We have presence in 75 countries. We speak more than 35 languages. We also have in the group a small meta, Fligresso.at, operating in the Nordics, and TripStack, a technological solution for flights. We hold the top position in Europe, but we also have a significant presence in the Americas and in Asia. We have over 2,400 employees globally, and there you will see that back in the third quarter of 2022, in autumn, we had somewhere around 1,500. In the tech side, we're around almost 300 professionals based mostly in Sweden, Greece, and then 2 smaller locations in India and Uruguay. We utilize Java and some C# for our backend, Python and Scala for AI and ML stuff, and React and TypeScript for our front end, but also we utilize native iOS and Android apps. Again, back in third quarter of 22, we were around 200 people in the tech side, so we have grown quite significantly. And here we will explore a bit what happens behind the scenes and why we're growing and we'll continue to growing. So if you hit our mytrip.com, you will see something like this, where you're presented with, you want to fly somewhere, you put now from Athens to London, that date, so many people, etc. We don't get a lot of information on what the profile of the person is. That's about it, plus some metadata depending on the brand, the country, the currency, the language, things like that. And then you click search, you wait a few seconds, and then you will be presented with something like this, which is an actual result, by the way. And you will notice it has the usual stuff, and you get by, okay, we have, what, 816 flights. How does that happen? Keep in mind, of course, that London is a multi-airport location, has 4 or 5 airports, regional, that are considered London. So that will result in a lot more flights if you're not specific. So if you say, I want to be in Gatwick versus London in general, you will get more results. Very, very high level. We get on the top, well, how do we get traffic? Our brands, we got Skyscanner on other metas like Kayak, WeGo. Then we have partners like Booking, TUI, and other integrations that we do. We try to recognize or predict what is the best solution for the given search parameters. So we might end up returning cached results as early as possible. We actually have more than 2 levels of caching. This is an oversimplification. And by the time we end up in the bottom, we might decide that we need to get more content from our providers, which would be either aggregators or APIs with the airlines themselves, and then backtrack up to the top, getting price, and kind of identify and predict which content, again, is more relevant for our clients. Backend, as I said, Java 17. We have Java 21 in the horizon, hopefully within this year that we will upgrade there. And we currently, not just for search, we have more than 2 million lines of code, which has grown quite significantly in the past 1.5 years. So tech department grows, the business grows, more features and everything, and we try to keep that at bay and not just, write everything. However, it will kind of grow. So complexity is the main theme here because we do a lot of integrations on a lot of levels and steps within the flow. A lot of airlines, a lot of details per market, per region, per currency, per language, per airline, of course. And as you can imagine, in the past 20 years, this results in a mix of legacy and more shiny code, more modern things. We are trying to evolve. We are evolving. We do have a distributed monolith. The bigger part of the system is a monolith. We have a few services. We do not talk about microservices at this point because how to say this, we lack the maturity. We want to go first in a step that we can actually split the monolith into services and then go to the next evolutionary step. We do employ a hybrid cloud infrastructure. Currently, we have most of our stuff on Kubernetes. We want to move everything there. We are data center first, but we also have a target, hopefully by this year, to be able to dynamically move up to a quarter of our traffic to Amazon Web Services. Of course, in the past 2 years, we have added quite a lot of metal, moved data centers to actually, since we are data center first, this is where we have most of our traffic. Overall, in the group, we do utilize both Google, AWS, of course, and Azure for specific tooling that fits our needs. But speaking of our platform, Java, we are putting yet more modern technologies there, so Quarkus. Now everything works with Docker in the production. We're migrating to Jakarta namespaces, and all of the above, this modernization and evolution is because we need to scale to support the constantly increasing traffic sales and the organization that is scaling, both the technical and the non-technical organization, which are using our systems in one way or another. So last year, 2023, we had about 20 million orders. 33 million people flew via our systems, and we had about 11 billion gross euros in bookings. And when we talk about scale, you will notice that we still don't talk for per second metrics. We're still on the per minute. So we do get about, on average, 37 fulfilled orders per minute. Peak time, this is obviously per second because we do have fluctuations within the day. But on average, we still have quite some way to go, which is not very far away. Talking about scaling, starting this graph, beginning of 2019, what you see here, blue graph, is incoming searches, either organic, Meta's, Bookings, Booking.com, or whatever partner. So at this point, we are about 200 million search requests per day. This results into outbound searches, somewhere around 3 to 4 times that number, where we go to our content providers to get making searches to get content. And you will see, for example, in the early January and various smaller peaks that do not reflect in incoming is our attempts to explore and identify even more content from our providers to fulfill our clients' needs. Because the content is king, you need to provide those 816 flights to be able, one, that we picked from our clients. This results in content that is delivered to us. Again, red graph. We receive more than 50 billion flights daily. They come either in a packaged way that we can utilize directly from our providers or in an unpackaged way that we combine and create our own content, basically. And the blue one is what we output to our clients. Again, organic, Metas, mobile, whatever. So like 200 billion offers that we provide to our clients daily. These are peak numbers, of course, and the fluctuations are other market conditions or promos and things like that. Usually, the beginning of the year is very hot, and this is a pattern across all years, that you push a lot more content than you usually do. So hundreds of curated flights from thousands of provider offerings. What I didn't say here, or it's not seen in the previous graph, is basically we drop a lot of content. A lot of content is not useful. nobody perhaps wants to sleep in an airport for 24 hours or something like that. We also utilize a lot of caching. That's how we get a lot more content than what we receive. And it's a combination of those. So we drop content, we also get content from a cache, we generate content, and we get the results that we have. At this scale, we do have optimization opportunities. So what you see here is the yellow graph is the past, the blue graph is after a particular change that we did, and the change resulted in about 10 to 17% of CPU time at search. That was basically a one-liner that was, of course, a loop, a misconfigured one, and unoptimized one. We utilized the flame graph approach that Red Hat actually showed at Devoxx last year. So that was really cool to be able to get something we learned from a conference, put it in place in our own systems. We do have the volumes, and get tangible results. But search is a problem that you can solve in various ways: Metal, AWS, optimizations, more optimized code, configuration, etc. The challenge we have is mostly on the transactional part. So we said 20 million orders. We are projected to triple that volume in the next years. I mean, search, that you saw the graphs going up, are not one-to-one with what we do with our sales, but they actually grow alongside. We're not just doing a lot of search content. So tripling our transactional aspects, the moment you click to select a flight, then it is persisted and it is monitored for the whole flow. The whole flow is not just a couple of minutes till you buy it. There are at least for a year later that you monitor for various changes. If it flies, it needs to be canceled. You need to add things, to pay, fulfill. The airline changed something. There was a delay in the flight, or the client changed something. He wants to do something, carry his keys or something like that. So a lot of operations that happen transactionally and need to be persisted. So for every additional order, you might have hundreds, maybe even thousands of transactions that happen behind the scenes in an asynchronous or asynchronous way. And so we have started since basically last year, put a 5-year plan on how we're going to achieve that, and why. Because triple the transactional orders in peak time, that means a lot more. So we're targeting to kind of increase our transactional throughput tenfold. We need to be better at our availability. It's not great right now. So sometimes we need to kind of stop the system for 10 minutes to do some upgrades and everything. So because it is a distributed monolith, we have other issues as well which are tangled between them. We want to increase our development efficiency. So the teams, the people that actually work on this, we want to, of course, reduce our implementation risk, and we will not stop implementing yet more integrations, features, how the industry goes along, and we need to follow, of course. So this is going to be a gradual thing. We're not going to pull the handbrake and just stop working on anything else. We have decided that our strategy there will be sharding to do this, to make that happen. Also, since we are integration heavy, we want to do some centralized portal and gateway systems. Each additional airline sometimes results that we need to integrate on a portal as well for our customer agents, for sales, for other reasons. And that's quite a lot. There are a lot of airlines in this world, and we need to kind of do this in a nice, systematic, and structured way on top of what they provide to us. Then, system-wise and development-wise, this is what we want to do: create mission-driven and autonomous teams, get more responsibility, increase the efficiency, go more into a service-oriented architecture. And finally, At a glance, what this means, the sharding approach, is basically our sales channel, so to speak, would be sharded, but everything that is post-sales would not be. And we would have to have some core logic there to identify in our sales channels, okay, which database am I supposed to talk to when I have this order? And on the other hand, when our agents are working, we don't want that to be segregated. We want them to have a unified view. However, under the hood, it would be able to identify in which database you can go. So sharded approach means that we can do separate deployments. We haven't really decided if this approach is going to be geographic, country, or some other way systematic that you kind of segregate and separate the data between databases, but that is something to be decided at a later point, basically. We need to put in place the functionality and the infrastructure and do all the changes in the system, basically, that can support this. Even of course, in the beginning, we will still have the same database we utilize right now. And then, once it's in place, you can start adding databases depending on the strategy that you want to follow. So that was it. This is where we want to go. We have a more detailed plan till 2026. And then going forward, it's a bit more high level because we want first to hit those targets, to actually manage to be successful, not hit some bottlenecks or technical challenges that might delay this. So we do have a more detailed plan for the next 2 years, and then it's more on a high level what comes next. And as we go along, we will build the next steps as well. And that was it. So thank you very much. If there are any questions, I would be happy to answer.
I've got a question.
Of course.
Thank you. I know you've got caches, but for the sake of this question, let's skip them. Let's assume that there is nothing in a cache. So when the customer goes to your website and do the search, do you call all your providers at that point, or do you have some batches in which you get the batch of the data, I don't know, maybe each hour or something like that?
Right, perfect. So it's in parallel. We decide how many content providers we will request content from, depending on what we're looking for. So you might search for Athens to London, and we might know that a particular provider does not have any routes for Athens to London. So we skip that. We have a lot of configuration when we talk to our providers to kind of set in place and recognize the behavior and the predicted quality of any particular provider. So you might get a search that hits one provider. Maybe it's a very specific airline as well, because it's a unique route. And in other cases, you might get, okay, this is a very common thing, maybe Athens to London. Maybe most of them have content there. Get it from everyone. So, and of course, this would mean duplicate content. They will give you the same flight, Aegean, same hour, et cetera, and you kind of decide, okay, I'm going to keep one. It doesn't matter it makes no sense to have a duplicate.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Thank you.